Part 1. The dream that wasn't mine. I used to believe in fairy tales. I thought that if I loved someone enough, gave them all of me, my time, my trust, my heart, they'd love me back the same way. I thought sacrifice was romantic. I thought surrender was strength. I met Daniel Blake when I was 25. I was a waitress in a small cafe just outside Missoula, Montana, barely getting by, helping my mom pay rent, and dreaming about doing something more with my life. Daniel walked in wearing a suit that probably cost more than my annual salary. He was charming, funny, and he looked at me like I mattered. He told me he ran a tech startup in San Francisco. I didn't even know what that meant, but the way he talked about his vision, his ambition, it was magnetic. I had never met someone like him. Someone who seemed to have all the answers. Someone who made me feel like maybe I didn't have to struggle anymore. 3 months later, I moved to California. I left everything. My job, my friends, my home. I told myself it was love. He said he wanted to take care of me, and I let him. At first, it felt like a dream. The apartment was luxurious. I had never seen marble countertops before, let alone eaten on them. He'd take me to rooftop dinners and wine tastings. I posted smiling pictures on Instagram. People said I was lucky, but the dream didn't last. Sparkles Part 2. What love looks like in silence. It started with little things. He'd comment on my clothes. Too short, too flashy, too plain. He'd roll his eyes if I asked questions about his work. Just enjoy life, he'd say. Why stress about things you'll never need to understand? Eventually, he stopped inviting me to events altogether. You wouldn't get it, he told me once. It's not your world. I stopped asking. The apartment, once our sanctuary, became my prison. He worked late hours and rarely came home. When he did, he was distant, distracted, cold. Sometimes he'd forget to say hello. Sometimes he wouldn't say anything at all. I cooked. I cleaned. I folded his clothes. I listened to his stories about vision and scaling up, pretending I understood. I wanted to stay useful, relevant, wanted. Then came the cheating. Not dramatic, not obvious. Just clues. Lipstick stains on his collar. Whispered phone calls at night. Smiles he never gave me anymore, saved for someone else. I didn't confront him. Not because I didn't care, because I had nothing to stand on. I had no job, no savings, no network, no identity except the one he gave me. But in my silence, something inside me began to grow. Sparkles Part 3. I became someone else in secret. I started reading again. Books about business, finance, behavioral psychology. I watched YouTube lectures at night with the volume low, hiding the screen behind recipe videos. I took online courses, quietly, methodically, learned what scaling really meant, what venture capital was, what a burn rate did to a startup. I studied Daniel's company, too. I found old pitch decks, shareholder reports, copies of contracts he left lying around like I couldn't read. But I could. He never asked questions. He assumed I was still the same girl who made him breakfast and posted selfies. But I wasn't. I was building something invisible. Sparkles Part 4. Learning to win quietly. I stopped measuring time in days and started measuring it in progress. One more course finished. One more business article absorbed. One more file copied from Daniel's desk while he slept. I wasn't planning revenge. I was planning survival. I opened a business email under a different name, Emma Caldwell, my grandmother's maiden name. I built a website. Basic, clean, direct. I offered consulting services to early-stage startups. At first, it was a joke. I didn't expect anyone to take me seriously. But within a month, I had my first client. Then another. And another. I worked in secret from the guest bedroom. I spoke with founders while Daniel thought I was doing online yoga. He never noticed the shift. Never noticed that I started smiling to myself more. That I bought a second laptop. That I paid attention to tech headlines more than celebrity gossip. He had no idea his Maid was becoming his competitor. Sparkles Part 5. I took everything he thought I couldn't understand. I studied Daniel's biggest clients. Not just their names, but their pain points. I read reviews, investor feedback, public complaints. I watched how he treated smaller startups, with arrogance, as if they were beneath him. I wasn't better than him in flash. But I was better in empathy, in patience, in detail. Clients came to me after being dismissed by Daniel's company. "You actually listened," one of them said. Another told me, "I didn't even know what I needed until you explained it better than my last consultant." They didn't know I lived with him. Didn't know I watched him toss their emails aside at 1 a.m. while drinking whiskey. And when Daniel's company began hemorrhaging contracts, he blamed the market, the economy, his team. But it was me. Sparkles Part 6. The Fall of a King. Daniel lost his biggest investor when I secured a deal with the same VC, by being clearer, smarter, and surprisingly familiar with what the investor valued. He called them traitors. I called them partners. He shouted at his employees. Fired 2 project leads. Restructured. Panicked. And then one day he asked me, casually without looking, "Have you heard of some woman named Emma Caldwell? She's stealing my damn clients." I looked him straight in the eye. I didn't smile. "No," I said. "Doesn't ring a bell." He never suspected. Because in his world, I was still too dumb to know how contracts worked. Sparkles Part 7. Exit Strategy. I waited until everything was in place. My business fully registered. My personal finances secured. A lawyer on retainer. A digital trail ready for court. Then I filed for divorce. Served him while he was in the middle of a pitch meeting. I didn't show up to watch his reaction. I didn't need to. He tried to fight it, financially and emotionally. Claimed I was nothing without him. Tried to humiliate me. Until he saw the court documents. Until he realized I had been documenting everything. His absences, his verbal abuse, his infidelities, his financial discrepancies. I wasn't just walking away. I was walking away with leverage. Sparkles Part 8. Not revenge. Reinvention. The settlement was generous. Not because he offered it, but because my lawyer was better than his. I didn't ruin him. I didn't destroy his business. I didn't need to. He was doing that just fine on his own. I simply left. Took my new identity, my growing company, my hard-earned dignity, and built a new life. Today, I sit at the head of a long glass table, in an office I designed myself. My team respects me. My clients trust me. And sometimes, I see Daniel's name in headlines, not as a tech genius, but as a once promising CEO facing rapid decline. That's not revenge. That's justice.